Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Today's video doesn't even need an intro, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day that the world stops and has a look at Scottish football and has a look at the best derby in the world, as the Old Firm is here and it's Rangers versus Celtic. Now before we go ahead and get lost in the battle fever, just a quick wee reminder in case you are new around here, or even if you're a regular viewer, like 52% of you guys that tune into the channel, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please consider doing so. It's free, doesn't cost you a penny, and it just helps us on our way towards 55k. But as I can't control myself any longer, let's just dive in to the video then, shall we? And as always, we're going to start off with the oppositional preview, which is of course Celtic. Now not only is this a bit difficult for me to keep the heat and do this video properly, but it's also a very weird preview to do for Celtic, because on one hand, from the Rangers fans' perspective, the way that we're looking at this game, we're hearing moans, we're hearing groans, we're seeing yet another embarrassing European setback, making some of us believe that this team we're playing tomorrow is absolutely bogging. And on the other hand, we have the Celtic fans and the Celtic pundits and the Celtic puppets and the media champion an idea that this Celtic team is a truly sleeping giant, ready to wake up and destroy anyone and everyone in the league when it clicks. And they have pushed and they continue to push this narrative that's out there that this team isn't clicking yet they're still winning games and they're only 1 point behind Rangers and they've got a game in hand and Rangers is playing the best that they've played in years, yet are still dropping more points than Celtic. That's a narrative that they're pushing from their side. And for me, and again this is just me, I'm taking both the ideas, I'm rubbishing them together, I'm chucking them over the shoulder, because neither of them, to me, alright. Unfortunately, nation, this team isn't mince that we're playing tomorrow, as much as I wish it actually was. They aren't mince, but they're also not this incredible sleeping giant ready to explode and beat everyone in the league. It's in between that. They are a good side with good actual players, and they are grinding out results and doing the job and doing the most important thing in this league, and that's picking up 3 points. But if you want to be fair and you compare what Rangers have had to go and do in terms of fixtures towards Celtic, that right there in itself destroys the narrative in my opinion. Rangers have had to go to tough places in the toughest away games that there is in this league and do what they've done. I know they've dropped points at Easter Road and the Tony Macaroni, but they've went to Pittodrie and they've picked up points. Also, when you look at it from a Celtic perspective, they've only been to one true away game and one true away test versus the top six side, and that was against Kilmarnock, and they dropped points. So until they've actually went to these away games and done the true test that this league has to offer and get more points than what Rangers have in those tests, they can't be heralded as this or that, because they've not been anywhere. They've barely been to any of the top six sides at all this season. So that's where I stand on how good or how great this Celtic team is. For me, they're a good side, doing the job, winning games, but have they got this other gear ready to explode? For me, no. They've got tougher games to come to go ahead and prove that, right enough, but as I'm currently recording today's video, they haven't. So as I just said there is a lot tougher test to come for Celtic, and that starts tomorrow versus Rangers, but it is another home game for Celtic, and if we're being fair, Celtic at Parkhead is nearly flawless, so they'll be looking to win the mental battle with this game right here in the first Old Firm of the season, which, if you look, even over the last couple of seasons, hasn't been kind to Rangers. We've not really been at the races, so they'll be trying to carry that in and make a statement tomorrow and try and win that psychological edge. Now, this is usually the part of the preview where I break down the run of results coming in to this game from the opposition when they come ahead and play Rangers. We look at that, we break that down and we discuss that, but that is not needed for this game right here. This is an Old Firm, ladies and gentlemen, the best and biggest derby in the world in my personal opinion. Form and all that nonsense gets flung right out the window, because soon as you step over that white line, it's down to the 22 players on that park to show and fight and battle to say that, hey, I want this more than the other guy. It's about who will go out there and win that battle for the entire 90 minutes and come away giving that extra 5, 10% for the first whistle to the last. Now, I know I kind of done a wee overview of how Celtic are doing so far this season, but that was more of the two narratives that's actually out there. We're not going to break down form and all that nonsense because it doesn't matter, people. It's the old firm. And it's just a war. But something we will be looking into just a little bit is obviously some of the biggest news coming out of the Celtic camp ahead of this game, and that's players who's unavailable, who maybe is unavailable, in this truly embarrassing Christie situation that just makes me cringe. They're genuinely that worried about the game the more that they're legit trying to change the rule so Christie can play. Incredible. Now, you've probably heard and read so much about the players that's ruled out and how this is such a big, massive deal and the potential impact on Celtic and all that utter drivel, but it's just almost like an excuse that's getting ready to be used, ladies and gentlemen, because if you take a step back and you look at it, who's only the two players officially ruled out ahead in the game tomorrow because of these issues? It's Beaton and El Mohamed. Neither of them would have started the game anyway, so what's the big deal? We've actually been without key first team players for the last 5-6 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, and that wasn't used as an excuse. So why is two bench players and sometimes rotational players coming into the squad being sort of built up to this massive mantle ahead of an old firm? I honestly don't get it. Now, some people might jump in and say, aye, CJ, but Edouard could be missing the game. But the key word being could be missing the game. He's not officially ruled out yet, and to be honest, whether he plays or not, they've also got other very good attackers who's dying to make an impact, and what an opportunity and a chance for them to make an impact in a game that literally every single person will be watching. You couldn't ask for a better stage to go out there and show that you deserve to start over the likes of Edouard than this game tomorrow. So I'm not really understanding or getting lost in this hype of them missing a couple of players. No for me, lads. Not at all. And with that being said, that's me sorting done and dusty with the Celtic preview, if I'm being brutally honest. We've looked at the two sides of the coin, but I've actually went right down the middle and said they're actually a good side with good players. And this availability crap that's dominating the news for me is nothing short than utter drivel, people. Two of them wouldn't have been starting the game of football anyway, and the other two, they've got good replacements and spent a lot of money on other players that can come in and play as well. So just because you can't get your dream starting 11 for every single game doesn't mean it needs to dominate the news and be used as an excuse. That's football, people. We've done it for the last 5-6 weeks, so roll your sleeves up and just get on with it. But enough talking about them then, shall we? Now it's time for me and thee to talk about what matters most to all of us. And yes, I'm talking in case there is some Celtic fans currently still watching. We're here to talk about what matters most to all of us. And that's Rangers. And coming into this game of football, exactly like what I said, versus Celtic, form, records, all that just gets flung right out the window. All you can hope for in this game of football, that you've got the battle, you've got the desire, and you've got the work rate and just willingness to throw everything on the line. And if you actually go back and you look at the last time we played at Parkhead, they've used that. They've had every single one of them on a display. And what happened? We went ahead and won the game. So what an example and what an experience to be able to draw from and say, hey, we've done it before, let's go ahead and do it again. Because you think about it, before then, it was 10 years since we went there at Parkhead and won, but the last time we were there, we were won. So I think we should be going in there with the belief, not being at awe of Parkhead and all this, the records and the teams that they've bet there, and say, hey, last time we were there versus them, we won. So let's go ahead and do that again. And that was something that I could sort of feel from this week's press conference from the likes of Ryan Kent, who had a great interview. Definitely go ahead and watch that if you didn't. And also Steven Gerrard saying the focus has to be on us in this game, preparing and doing it right. No going in overconfident and no going on at all either. Gone there to do the job and be willing to battle. Now, as you can imagine, in this week's press conference for both player and manager, the one main recurring theme was the fact there was going to be no fans in the stadium. And yes, that's obviously terrible, right? We all love to be able to go and support our team and be there and experience the atmosphere. That's what football is all about, people. But we can't change it, right? And despite the SFA trying their best to move the game back to a day they thought they would be able to get Celtic fans in there, there isn't going to be any fans there. But if you take away the frustration with the atmosphere and all that, but if you focus in and you look at something, I don't think many people are actually talking about it. This game, the Mora versus Celtic, without any fans, gives us all a very, very unique situation that no one's heard before. Like, honestly, I've not heard anyone really even mention this yet, but we as fans, for the first time, will be able to watch an Old Firm game and be able to see and hear who actually wants it, who's the leaders in the team, who's scrambling, who's up for the fight, who's got that shithousery, who's going to look at that opposition, their opposite on the other side of the park and say, you're going to get it. Well, we're all going to see it, ladies and gentlemen. We will see and hear who the leaders are, the Mora, and who really knows what it means and what it takes to be a Rangers player. There's no fans to set the tone and set the intensity level to 5.5 and the staunch meter. No, there's none of that. It's on these boys now, and the questions that we have about this guy's leadership or this guy's leadership, all these questions will be answered at 12:30 tomorrow. But speaking of the players, let's talk about some team news then, shall we? And thankfully there's been no players suffering injuries since that Monday's international Rangers roundup. Now if you want an update on the players' fitness, definitely go ahead and check that video if you want in more detail. But everything I can say right now is thumbs up. There's no major concerns or major injuries, which is great for BB and your man Helander. And also some good news about your man Alfredo Morelos, who was actually expected to fly in today as I'm recording today's video on the Friday, but he actually came in 24 hours early on Thursday, which again is very, very positive, because like it or lump it, he is expected to start and lead the line in Mora, and you just can't speak an Old Firm game of foot mentioning Alfredo Morelos, because he's literally done everything there is today in football but score against them lads. And I just hope and pray that Mora is the day that not only he gets on the score sheet, but there's another 3 points coming home. Regarding the rest of the team, by the way, we got a wee update regarding Zongu, who will not be making his debut by any means versus Celtic, as he's still under quarantine after flying in from France. We're actually respecting the international guidelines, ladies and gentlemen. We're not trying to change it to get people involved in the game or no, no. We actually think, right, if everyone else is going to be held to this standard, that also means us. But not all teams are like that, unfortunately. But there is also some good news in terms of the old team news, and that's the fact that Kemar Roofe and Joe Aribo has been involved in full training yesterday, and they've also been involved in full training today and haven't had any flare-ups or any problems. Now, Gerrard did say in his press conference that this game, the Mora, maybe came too early, but he did refuse to rule them out, and he usually does that in his press conferences, where he normally says the games came too early, they won't be involved. There was none of that, they won't be involved. So we might see Joe Aribo and Kemar Roofe a part of the bench tomorrow with an opportunity to throw themselves back into the firing line and make something happen. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That is the team news, that is the preview, and that is the press conference wrapped up in a neat little bow. Now it's time for me and thee to try to do the impossible, and that's predict an Old Firm game. Now, I'm going to go with what I said the last time, which I was actually spot on with, by the way. I believe I was spot on anyway. Maybe I'm talking crap. Usually I am. But I am actually going to go with the exact same result as it finished last time in December. I am going to go with Rangers 2, Celtic 1. I think it is going to be a very, very exciting game of football. I think there's going to be a lot more football played, as again, the crowd's not there to really get people worked up. But I'm expecting Rangers to come away with a win. And again, I could fall flat on my face here, but I'd rather live thinking positive than live being negative, ladies and gentlemen. That's just who I am. My goal scorers, speaking of positive, Morelos. I'm going for it. And by the way, I'm not even just going for... Actually, I'm going to go for 1. I was going to say 2 there, but you know what I mean? Let's calm it down a wee bit, CJ. My second goal scorer is going to be the skipper, El Tavernier. But with me being done and dusted now, all that's left is for you watching today's video to get your thoughts and opinions out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the pinnacle of Scottish football, so get involved, talk about it, share your opinion and share it with the nation. We've got a great community here, people, and I absolutely love reading and interacting with every single comment that comes in. So what are you thinking about the game tomorrow? Who would you like to see? There will be an interesting discussion about the midfield as well. Do we go Arfield, Davis and Kamara, which has been working very well, or do we look at Ryan Jack and say, you've played well versus Celtic before, you played well for Scotland on Wednesday? Do we bring Jack back into that midfield three? What are you thinking, ladies and gentlemen? Just share your thoughts down there in the comment section below. Now, all that's left for me today is wrap up today's video with a massive thank you for tuning in and getting involved. If you have subscribed to the channel, I greatly, greatly appreciate that. We want to one day hopefully reach 55k, so any support would be greatly, greatly appreciated. But aye, take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow. All the best and bye-bye.